The Israeli military is seen as preparing itself for a possible strike on Iran. The Israeli Navy and Air Force have performed military exercises with 9 other countries, including the US, UAE, and Bahrain. Bunker busters have also been tested in the military exercises that are used to destroy underground targets. The Israeli military exercises are being seen as a warning to Iran. Israel has also allocated $1.5 billion for a possible attack on Iran's nuclear program. Is Israel really going to attack Iran? The Iran nuclear program has once again got attention when Iran has claimed that it has enriched 25 kilograms of uranium to 60% and enriched 120 kilograms of uranium to 20%. The amount of uranium enriched by Iran is slightly below the level required for nuclear weapons. Iran claims that its nuclear program is for civilian purposes. Israel has not only concerns about Iran nuclear program, but also criticizes its ballistic missile program. Israel thinks that if Iran has achieved nuclear status, then it would be impossible to restrict Iran. Iran's nuclear capability would pose a serious threat to Israel. If Iran becomes a nuclear power, it will initiate a nuclear arms race in the region. Saudi Arabia and UAE will also launch their nuclear programs. A Jewish country surrounded by nuclear-capable Muslim countries will increase the potential of threat for Israel. Israel has such an aggressive defense policy that it attacks before a threat that it could face. Israel had destroyed the Iraqi and Syrian nuclear installations in 1981 and 2007. But Iran is not an easy target for the Israel as compared to the previous targets. Iran is a little bit far away and a big country. Its nuclear installations are spread over a large area. Iran has a strong military, and it can also utilize its arms groups in Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon against Israel. Israel will need its ally, the US support, to strike over Iran and to face the consequence after the attack. But the US seems as not ready for an adventure when it is facing threats from China. The US president had considered the military action against Iran last year, but his advisors prevented him from doing so. The Iran uranium enrichment claim and the Israeli military exercises are the strategies they use to pressurize each other before the table talk. Negotiations are to begin this year in the Austrian capital Vienna to reactivate the 2005 Iran nuclear deal. Under the agreement, Iran agreed to limit its nuclear program and inspect all of its facilities. In response, international sanctions on Iran were partially lifted. There is little possibility that Israel will strike on Iran nuclear installation because of the high risk is involved in it. The attack on Iran may be the last option to consider. But before this, Israel will try to restrict Iran through the dialogues process and also through cyber and proxy attacks.